Computer. Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome back. We have so much going on astrologically, and I really just kind of wanted to talk about Aries in a very, very general context because there's so many planets in Aries, and I really do believe this is a marker for kind of like a rebirth for everybody. And of course, what house that happens in is pretty significant right now. And it's one of the things that the 13 Pillars, which is a group that I work with in channel, that they have really honed that in is that, if people just want to see kind of like where their growth point's going to be as we're walking through this new age of conscious awakening, we're going to do that. But before I start with this, I have to tell you this fabulous story. So, I love the show Love on the Spectrum. It has to do with these beautiful um, younger, people looking for love that are on the spectrum. And that's why it's called Love on the Spectrum. It's one of my absolute favorite shows. I think whoever has produced it, and I probably should look up to see who did produce it, did such an exceptional job of storytelling, and the people that they put onto the show are exceptional. So I have to start with that. So this morning I was driving back from the gym and I had Andy from Bravo. He's got a show on Sirius Radio. And the reason I say that is because it's a very well listened to show, and there's some substance to why I say that. And I was flipping through channels on my way home, and I hear Abby's voice from Love on the Spectrum. She's being interviewed on Andy's podcast. It wasn't Andy, it was two other gentlemen that had their own show on his show. And the interview was so good. And I was crying in the car because I myself have worked with people. I worked in an agency that supported people in support. Back then it was called supported employment. Um, and and so some of the people I had the privilege of working with were people who were on the spectrum. And this is before we knew what that really was. This was a long time ago. So I have a really deep passion for seeing how regular human beings, which is like me, I'm a regular human kind of being in the sense of having their time in their place in the world. And this is why I was crying so hard. First of all, Abby is, and she'll tell you in the interviews, she has worked on how to communicate with people for 22 years. She is still in speech therapy, I think is what she called it. And seeing how I truly believe like some of this Hollywood is kind of like dying out, and how people, regular Joes who are living lives and really stepping into their own empowerment and their life's work is they're having their time and their space to shine. And to me, that is us stepping into the age of Aquarius, where everyone gets to show up as unique and still have have people honor and respect them for who they are and less judgment. And I think that's one of the beautiful things that I loved about that show is they showed, and I think that's why all the people who've been on that show have been so popularized. Like you see them all over social media, and I flipping love it. And it just gives everybody a different perspective of how other people exist and what they came through to work on. I mean, my whole work is, I think the number one question I hear from all my clients is I want to make sure that I'm doing what I came here to do, my life's purpose. And all of us has a unique life purpose that we're here to do. And everybody should have access to let that shine out. And we're finally getting to the point where it's not just the few, it's going to be for the all. And we're just at the beginning stand points of all of that. And do I think some of that has to do with all the energies that are going on astrologically? Heck, yes, I do. So I'm just celebrating that. I think that's awesome. Let me know in the comments below if you're somebody who watches that show and who your favorite. I love them all. There isn't one of them I don't love. I'm just so excited for Abby that she got. Gosh, I hope her name is Abby. I'm pretty sure it is. Anyways, let's get on to this idea of your rebirth through the sign of Aries, and why we call it a rebirth is because Aries is considered the first sign of the zodiac. And so it's like when you're first born, your energy is steeped in what your first house is, which is usually your ascendant. But I'm not going to get into that today. But I do want to talk to you, and I'm going to go through all of the houses so you can kind of have a better understanding of what you might be already experiencing, because trust me, we've got enough planets in this house that this is already happening, right? And I need to get it. So this is today's. I need to move it. So because soon enough, Mars is going to go in it. I believe. Oh, geez, I'm doing it by the minute. Hold on, guys. We were going to do it by the days. There we go. Goodness sakes. I was wondering why it's taking so long. Um, there we go. So this is on March 15th. Tax day. How interesting. This is the sign of Aries right here, you guys. This is what it looks like. And this is the transits, which means uh the planets that move, all of our planets are always moving. And so we've got Mars, the moon, Neptune. Um, I'm sorry, we've got Mercury, Moon, Neptune, Mars, Saturn, Sun, and Chiron. And I do believe Satna's in here. It's an asteroid. And is there another one that I don't know about that's in there? Anyways, this is the most amount of planets in one sign. I mean, look at the rest of the chart. We got two planets here. We got one planet here and Pluto over here. It's insane. Aries is considered the very first part of the zodiac, and it also is considered the world axis, which means it has a lot of power in it. And so a lot of energy is being steeped into whatever house Aries is in your natal chart. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull up your natal chart and you're going to see where this little sign is and what house placement it's in. Now, for some of you that do Placidus, I always say that word wrong. It could be in 2 to 3 different houses. If you're doing whole sign, it's going to be in one house. And it doesn't matter because you can take it if it's happening in a couple houses, you'll be able to take information from both houses and kind of blend it for yourself. But it's pretty potent because we've never seen this many in this house, in this sign. And that's why this is a new birth for yourself. And I'm not going to go through each one of these because that's like a full-blown reading. But this is what I am going to suggest is I'm going to go through each one of these houses so you kind of have an understanding of like how this might be impacting you. A lot of them are already there. We're still kind of just waiting for Mercury and Mars to pop in. And so once they pop in, which both of them will be there by the April 15th, but we've been feeling it because we already had Saturn and Neptune pop in a couple months ago. So let me no longer digress. So if this is happening in your natal chart, so let's say Aries is in your first house, this really means that how you show up in the world is probably going through a massive rebirth. You are somebody who's probably experiencing changes in your appearance and maybe what you want to do physically with your body. There could be this whole new level of confidence of like I'm birthing into this brand new person. To me, for women, it would be like you're stepping into that goddess scene of yourself. You are not going to be stopped anymore, and you're not going to be a witness of anything less than what it is that you desire in your life. Boom. Love it. Mic drop. Second house has to do with your values. Your values could have been going through a shift, but you're going to get a lot more clarity and a sense of self if Aries is in your second house. And it could be how it is that money is coming to you. It could be just about what you do value and what's really significant to you. Things that you might have valued in the past don't seem to have that burning desire anymore. Now you're valuing something else. For yourself, which is so cool to see for people. So how you earn money, that also could be changing for yourself because second house really does have to do with your ability to earn income. So maybe even in your job or your career, that might be changing a little bit. If Aries, this sign happens to be your natal in your third house, this is going to could have to do with some sibling work. It could have to do with you wanting to study and learn a little bit more for yourself. It could be that your style of communication is really going to come through clearly. And for everybody stepping into this Aries energy, by the way, you're releasing what used to be. I don't think I made that clear enough when I started this. This whole scenario of all these planets being in Aries is really this focal point for dropping what used to be, how you used to show up, in particular to the house placement you're in. So for you, your communication style, if this is in happening natally in your third house, um, how you communicate, how you're seen and heard. Issues with your siblings might come up so that you can work through them, drop them, release them, and start anew. And that's how I look at this Aries energy. There's going to be some things that you're going to be dropping by the wayside and new ways of showing up for yourself. You could be considering going back to school in some aspect and becoming the student again, with it happening in your third house, possibly have to do with neighbors. Maybe, maybe you've had some issues with your neighbors before, and now all of a sudden you're going to drop that and kind of move on with kumbaya. It does mean that there's work in this house too. With all these type of planets within one sign, there's work to be done. You've been doing the work, but now you're going to get a heck of a lot more clarity and a lot of more energy to do it because it's a fire sign. And a fire sign, especially Aries, it wants to take action, and it's actually ruled by Mercury. And so I'm sorry, it's ruled by Mars. What am I thinking? The third house is ruled by Mercury. Aries is ruled by Mars, but this house is ruled by Mercury, the third. So your style of communication may be shifting and changing for you. If this Aries and all these planets happen to be in your fourth house of your natal chart, home, everything that has to do with your roots, your ancestors, your relationships, what your home looks like. You may be going through some dumping of things in your house that you don't love, that do not serve a purpose anymore. You might be doing a lot of purging. You might be considering moving. You might be considering going into job for yourself, working from home for yourself. You may be discovering that working from home for yourself is a clear point of attraction for whatever career you're going in. You could also be going through some feminine ancestral look at healing. You could be somebody who's doing a lot of healing through your mom's side of the lineage of the home. But something that has to do with your home and your roots. You're looking at it, you're transgressing it, you are going to come out the other side. Your birth is, where's home? And sometimes home is just how you feel safe with inside of yourself here too. Just know that. Fifth house is creativity a lot of the times. It has to do with children, it has to do with romance, has to do with showing up and letting the world see you. So if all of these planets of Aries, if it's in your fifth house, you are probably going through this whole clarity of like what it is you want to show up in. Like, let me shine out in this creative, massive way. Let me feel this deeper connection with my creativity. It could have to do with children. If you have children, if you want to work on your inner child work, like Aries is saying, it's time to rebirth that creativity, let go of some stuff, maybe some shame that you held on to, like I can't be this creative person. And creativity, there's no limit on what creativity is. Creativity can be the way you show up and dress. Creativity can be the way you paint. Creativity can be the way you garden. Like, think of the thing that you want to shine out more now to the world by you just being it. That's where your whole rebirthing is happening. Sixth house, this is going to have to do with just kind of like how you want to be of service to the world. You could be having a big shift, like a moral shift of like, I've been doing this and I know this no longer resonates with me. I do not want to do this type of work. A lot of times it has to do with your daily work patterns. So this could be if you are working from home, your daily patterns are working. Are, if you are in a corporate job, it could be how and who you're hanging out with, how you're being of service. That could be going through a major upheaval. Maybe you're discovering that what you've been doing as a career or as a job for yourself no longer fits and resonates. I see a lot of people that with the Aries going on here, you're shifting careers big times right now. You could also be going through a shift of coworker type of issues and kind of showing up on the other side of it and saying, okay, this is no longer who I want to be. And I think that's what we're all discovering through that full moon in Libra that we just had. You're really discovering like who you don't want to be. And then just look at where Aries is at now, and it's going to give you a little bit more of a foundation of what's shifting and changing. Seventh house has to do with relationships. Who am I in relationship, and who am I without the relationship? That'll be the big question. And this is the type of relationship that isn't necessarily have to do with your family that you were born into or that you were adopted into. This has to do with people that you've picked. So it could be your partner in life, business partner, spiritual partner. It could be an intimate relationship, but friendships, your business partner, your clientele, all of that is shifting. You're rebirthing a new way of connecting with people. I was just talking to somebody else and they were talking about like, oh, I just did a ton of releasing on like my past relationships and what I was holding on to from that and how I was kind of morphing to be with them. Yep, that could be happening if all this Aries energy is happening in your seventh house. Eighth house, I'm going to say um, so much inner work that you may not even understand what all the shifts are until some of these planets move out because it's such deep internal work. I always say anything happening in the eighth house with all of these planets, if Aries is in your eighth house, you might want to be considering doing some therapy for yourself. You might be looking at what you're transmuting when it comes to other people's money. You might be popping into some type of inheritance, but you're really probably looking at some wounds that have been deep seated that have been bubbling up for you. Holding a lot of love and light, because I would say that's a lot of tension in the eighth house. So eighth house has to do with your sexuality, has to do with your spirituality. It could have to do with the occult. Maybe you're finding yourself totally transforming your belief systems about how it is. Like you may find that you want to go down a new pathway of learning about spirituality for yourself, the occult, human design, astrology, all those good things. If it's happening in your ninth house, this is your belief systems. This is you becoming a professor in some sort. Wherever you've been giving your power away, you're no longer the student, you are now the teacher. And that's really pressing in this ninth house. It could be that you are going to open up to more metaphysics in here, or you might be opening up to more religion here. You might be letting go of some beliefs that you had about either one of those topics, and you're kind of shedding it and seeing things in a whole new different light. If Aries is in your natal chart, is in the 10th house, this is how you show up to the world, and this has to do with your career. Pretty much means that you're going to start to evolve into a new level, a new person, probably. It also can mean that who and what you're working towards may have shifted. And how you want to show up in the world is shifting. And you may have the confidence to do so because that's what Aries is giving you. 11th house, if Aries is happening in your 11th house, I would say this one is going to be more about letting yourself just show up so authentically, which can be kind of scary because, maybe you've tried to hide, that, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is like the goth scene. When I was younger, I had friends who liked to dress in goth. And then, as they became adults, they stopped doing that. You may rediscover like it's okay for you to be your organic self without the judgment or not worrying about the judgment. That's what I should say. And not worrying about what other people are going to think. You've probably been crawling through that quite a bit. And you're like dissolving maybe in the past how people have told you that you didn't belong or you can't be a part of our club. And so you morphed into somebody else. And now you've got this opportunity with Aries. And probably if Aries in your 11th house, you've already been the person who's been flipping people the bird and saying that's not who I am. Um, but you're going to have this new organic way of showing up for yourself and finding your new group, finding those one or two people that you really click with now. And again, treating other people really well. You might be finding some new ways in which to support people. I keep thinking about that Love Actually show. To me, maybe you're going to be promoting how people can treat each other who are really different, but you are going to help other people to understand like, oh, well, communication style is different. Let me explain how this would work better for you. Could definitely see that in the 11th house. And then if this Aries, all these transits are happening in your 12th house, Your psychic abilities are probably really, really coming online for you if this is happening in that house placement. But it also means that you're gonna have the energy to pop through any illusion or addiction or codependency that you have been, and this has probably already been bubbling up for you, that you've been hiding in, or maybe you didn't see for yourself. That's going to become brewing up for you. So you're probably going to be shedding a lot of codependency for yourself, and you're going to see things in a whole new different light. And with Aries there, it probably wouldn't be very comfortable in this house placement, right? But it would give you the essence to actually deal with it head on. It will also give you the energy to say, hey, you know what? I am pretty freaking psychic, or I am very intuitive, and I haven't been listening to that side of myself. I've been kind of ignoring it. I've been underwater with it. Whew, that was quick. But do you see what I'm saying? Like there's a lot. I'm excited about this because I'm going through it already. We all are. But there's also this level of me of like, who I'm going to shed kind of into this new person via whatever sign. I got more hair on me. Via what house placement this is in. And you've probably already got evidence of it. But because now we're going to get Mercury, you're going to have a better way of communicating this to yourself first and foremost, and then out to whoever needs to hear it. And we've got Mars entering, and Mars is the ruler of Aries. So it loves to be in there, and it loves to like kind of move quickly. Think of fire horse, heart horse, fire horse. I always say it wrong. This is the year of that. So you're going to have the stamina to work through whatever it is that you're releasing from your past that you no longer need. And you're going to have the energy to see it in a new way and actually express it and show up. That, my friends, is very, very exciting. Doesn't mean that there isn't work. And it doesn't mean that there isn't going to be moments where you're going to have to pause and take a lot of deep breaths because with all this energy in one sign, you can feel feisty. You might be speaking things that you are going to regret because remember, words have power. And if you're feeling anything other than empowerment, meaning if you're feeling like it's the snarkiness that can come up with all this energy here, or wanting to make a big aggressive move, but not thinking about how it's going to impact everybody around you, especially in the seventh house or, you know, fourth house, like it's going to impact everybody else around you. So I think we always have to kind of come inward, and that's hard in Aries. Aries wants to just express outwards, and we're going to have to come inwards and kind of say kumbaya, kumbaya. Like let me find my balance in this before I make a decision, because the Aries energy wants to do things right now. And there is going to be times where you're going to do things, but there's also, I think sometimes we need to really contemplate um, the timing of things. Now, I'm going to add a little caveat here. If you know your human design, which by the way, you can get a free one on my site, you can look at where your Mars, what gates Mars shows up in your human design chart, because that will tell you a lot about how to work with your Mars energy. And because Mars is in Aries, it will give you that flavor. Let me see if I can show you a chart really quick on that, because I think that's helpful to kind of understand what the heck I'm talking about. And I did not have this prep, so give me 2 seconds here to put somebody in. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So what I mean by that is you can go and grab a human design chart, and what you're going to look for is this little sign right here. This is what Mars looks like. It's a circle with an arrow, and there's going to be two of them on here. And the importance would be to go and find out the meaning of gate 41 and the meaning of gate 5. So, for this particular person, what I would say is gate 41 is that you get a lot of fresh new ideas and you'll feel on fire and it will excite the crap out of you. But the unconscious side says be patient which is this is an interesting one because this one tells patience and this one says, girl, be as creative as possible. And when you feel that push to be creative, it's going to go really well. But if you push that creativity, that new idea too quickly and it hasn't formulated within yourself first, and it doesn't mean that the whole idea, but it's like you've got to integrate that this is the next thing that feels like a hell yes for you and you're really excited about it. If you learn to do that with patience being the virtue behind it, it will do really well for you. But jumping on something before it's really formulated within your body, because this is the body side, and the body says, listen, I've got to be able to feel this whole thing. This side will say, ooh, I've got a great idea, and I'm feeling the pressure to move it forward and make it into the world. Gate 41's down here, by the way. So it's in the root center. So it wants to push itself up and it wants to make this thing happen. It's the dreamer. It's a and gate 5 is right. Jiminy Crickets. Why do I do this to myself sometimes? Oh, yeah, right here. Gate 5 is in the sacral. And this one wants to start things, but it really needs to know to be patient. So these are both like, yes, let's do things. Let's get some creative ideas going and let's like push them out. But if you don't have it fully dialed in, and it doesn't mean that the whole program would need to be done, it would just mean that you've got to be able to feel the experience within inside of yourself. And then when you know the timing is right, because that's an intuitive thing, when you know the timing right, which is what 41 can do on itself, it will feel the pressure. It's time to shift. It's time to change. It's time to launch this. It will do it for it. So that's all just looking more specifically at what your Aries sign and how it expresses through you. That's like another layer to it all. And if I've said too much, just delete the human design stuff and do the astrology part. What am I doing? Here we go. So, anyways, I hope that helps you guys. Let me know below. Oh, I would love to know what gates your human design Aries is in and what house placement Aries is in for you. I said that wrong for human design. Where Mars is, what two numbers or gates are in your Mars, and what sign your natal chart has Aries in it. What house is Aries in? All right, you guys. Hope I didn't confuse you too bad. Until next time. Oh, I have a new mantra I'm going to start saying. Are you ready? Part of this is from Cynthia Sue Larson. Freaking love her. How good can it get? And then I've added, how good can it get? How easy can it come? And how fast can it get here? Many blessings.